Hello and welcome. I'm Thomas Porteous and you're watching NewsX World. Let's look at the top stories this hour. At least 20 people, among them 5 journalists, were killed in an Israeli strike on Nasser hospital in southern Gaza. The dead include a Reuters cameraman and an AP reporter, with others killed in a second strike as rescuers rushed to the scene, Gaza officials have said. Israel says it carried out the strike near the Nasser hospital, but does not target journalists after 5 were killed, including reporters for Reuters, AP and Al Jazeera. The Foreign Press Association called for an immediate explanation, with both Reuters and AP saying they were devastated by the losses. A powerful typhoon is battering Vietnam's coast with winds up to 133 kilometers per hour, life-threatening flash floods and landslides. More than 586,000 people have been ordered to evacuate, with soldiers on standby as heavy rains continue to spread across a much larger area. Kilmer Algredo Garcia, whose wrongful deportation to El Salvador made him a symbol of President Trump's immigration crackdown, has been detained again by U.S. officials in Baltimore. The 30-year-old was freed from custody in Tennessee last week after 5 months in detention and now faces possible removal to Uganda. Israel says it could reduce its military presence in southern Lebanon if the Lebanese army moves to disarm Hezbollah. The statement bomb from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office followed his meeting with US envoy Tom Barak, who is pushing a plan to disarm the Iran-backed group. Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara is expected to speak at the UN General Assembly in New York this September, a Syrian official tells the Reuters news agency. Shara, who broke with al-Qaeda in 2016, met President Trump in Saudi Arabia earlier this year in a bid to lift sanctions on Syria. Britain says a record 28,000 migrants have crossed the Channel in small boats this year, a 46% rise on 2024. The surge is fueling public anger and anti-migrant protests, increasing pressure on Prime Minister Keir Starmer over his immigration policies. Switzerland is preparing a new offer to Washington to ease its trade dispute after President Trump imposed a 39% tariff, among the highest in the world. The package is expected to include more defense spending and greater access for U.S. energy interests after Trump complained of America's trade deficit with Bern. We start this hour in West Asia, where Israeli strikes on Gaza's Nasser hospital in Khan Yunis killed at least 20 people, including 5 journalists and a civil defense worker. The Israeli military confirmed striking in the area, ordered an inquiry and said it does not target journalists, though Gaza's civil defense called it a deliberate drone and airstrikes. Media groups and the Palestinian Journalists Syndicate condemned the killings as part of a systemic campaign against the press. Among the dead was Reuters cameraman Hussam al-Masri, while fellow Reuters photographer Hatem Khaled was seriously wounded. Al Jazeera confirmed its cameraman Mohammed Salama was killed, while the Associated Press mourned freelancer Miriam Dagga. 2 others, Moaz Abu Taha and Ahmed Abu Aziz, were also named among the victims. Witnesses say a second strike hit just as journalists and rescue teams rushed to the scene of the first blast. Reuters' live feed from the hospital cut off just at the moment of impact. More than 240 journalists have been killed since the war began in October of 2023, as Israel's offensive has claimed over 62,000 Palestinian lives. We're now joined by Yeshaya Rosenman. He's an Israeli journalist and he joins us live from Jerusalem. Yeshaya, thank you very much for joining us here on NewsX World. Israel has maintained the statement that Israel does not target journalists. However, 5 have been killed today, Yeshaya. This follows, of course, last week where 6 were killed. A huge staple of Al Jazeera killed last week by another Israeli strike. How does the Israeli public feel about the deaths of these journalists coming out of the Gaza Strip? They are, of course, Palestinians.
Yes, I personally think that, first of all, I wholeheartedly believe that Israel does not intentionally target innocent people, but I think it is quite easily confirmed that these journalists, especially the Al Jazeera journalists, were not innocent. Famously, the journalists killed from Al Jazeera last week were on the payroll of the Hamas military wing. This has been confirmed. The documents have been released by the IDF in the Arabic original. The man killed today, Mohammed Salameh, had invaded Israel on the 7th of October with Hamas fighters. So once again, I don't know yet whether the man was on their payroll, but he was clearly working hand in glove with them. So I don't think these people are innocent. Al Jazeera in general is a wing of the Qatari government. They are the primary funders of Hamas. So it is basically a Hamas propaganda wing. And I think they are akin to the German propaganda ministry, people who were tried at Nuremberg as war criminals. So I hope that no innocent people were killed, journalists or not journalists, but I don't think these journalists were innocent. And I don't feel sorry that they're killed. I think they should have been killed. They should have been targeted. If the IDF said they did not target them, I don't know what they're referring to, because the people, like I said last week, killed from Al Jazeera, some of them were famous journalists on the Hamas payroll. So they are legitimate targets.
Yeshaya, of course, Israel does not let international journalists into the Gaza Strip, citing safety concerns for them. Of course, this has been the deadliest war for journalists in the world in recent memory, in history. What are your thoughts on Israel and it not letting international journalists into the Gaza Strip, and also the public relations fight that Israel is currently facing against people who do in fact say that Israel is trying to stop information getting out of Gaza Strip to show what is actually going on?
First of all, as to this being the deadliest war for journalists, I'm not familiar with the data, but I highly doubt that it is more deadly for journalists than the wars in Afghanistan or Iraq. I'm not sure that statistic is true, but as to Israel not letting journalists in, you have to understand the ground reality as it is in Gaza or in places like South Lebanon, in Hezbollah territory. You cannot you cannot enter or do anything. You cannot roam around Gaza as a free citizen and film indiscriminately in Gaza. You have to work directly with Hamas officials. There is no other way. So basically, anyone who enters Gaza as a journalist, with no exception, automatically shows only propaganda guided by Hamas officials. So I see no reason, even if the journalist comes with good intentions, I see no reason to allow people in who will only be allowed to show what Hamas allows it to show. I see that as not genuine journalism. It is no more journalism than going to North Korea and showing what the North Korean regime allows you to show.
Just to get the statistics up there, it turns out the Israel-Gaza war has become the deadliest conflict for journalists ever recorded now, with a extra number of 5 being added to that toll today.
I'll just make the brief exception that many of those journalists deserve to die. They were Hamas fighters. They were fighters, some of them in arms, commanders of battalions and fighters in the Hamas military wing. So they were not, it would be very instructive to go through that list and see exactly who was killed.
Israel has said that it's going to conduct an investigation into this attack.
I hope they do. I hope we do.
Yes. How much can we trust the findings of the IDF, given their previous investigation findings and, of course, its governance currently?
I think the question is the other way around. How much can you trust the Hamas officials who place no premium on the truth? It is a propaganda regime, a genocidal propaganda regime that has no doesn't care about the truth at all. It has been proven time and again from the bombing on the Al Ahli hospital, and time and again that Hamas will simply give whatever numbers they want, whatever names they want. They will give whatever information they want with no commitment to the truth. And Israel is naturally slower because we actually verify what we confirm and disprove. We actually go through the data and try to research the truth. So I think your best bet is the IDF statistics. You can look, for example, at sites like Honest Reporting that debunk the Hamas numbers. And I think we should all have critical thinking, and especially from people, towards people who have no commitment to truth whatsoever.
Yes, thank you very much, Yeshaya. We now move over to Europe for our next story, where we move over to the Ukraine war, where the front lines remain active amidst the talks of peace negotiations between Russia and Ukraine. In the latest developments, the Russian Defense Ministry has released drone footage of the village in Filia in Ukraine's Dnipro Petrovsk region. The footage shows Russian flags installed on the roof of heavily damaged buildings. Both sides have claimed to make advances in the conflict zones. This has come at a time when Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky talked about $1 billion monthly aid for the purchase of weapons from the United States. This recent advancement poses challenges to the possibility of peace negotiations. We are now joined by Dr. Satoru Nagao. He's a fellow at the Hudson Institute, and he joins us live from Tokyo in Japan. Thank you very much, Dr. Nagao. Of course, Donald Trump is a transactional president, Dr. Nagao. He believes that Ukraine must pay for what they get, along with their allies, of course, when it comes to American weaponry. $1 billion a month is what President Volodymyr Zelensky has cited in aid. Do you think Ukraine has enough pull in order to get funds like this from its allies?
Of course, they will get, I believe, because if Russia win the war against Ukraine, other European countries could be the next target of Russia. That kind of logic is strongly believed in the European countries, especially the Eastern European countries. That's why if Ukraine lose the war, this is serious for the other European countries. That's why there is a motivation to support Ukraine. So, view from the United States cannot get any benefit through this, but European can get the benefits. That's why Europeans should pay more. That is the logic the current Trump administration said. But in view from the geographical reality, it is true. So that's why the Ukraine calculate how much money they need to buy the weapon from the United States, and the European countries should pay instead of Ukraine is the logic for Ukraine, and it is understandable in Europe, I think.
Yes, and of course, these recent advancements and escalated fighting, they do pose challenge to peace negotiations. Do you think that Moscow and Kiev are too far apart to reach an agreement, especially on territorial integrity here, given that Russia does control 20% of its territory, with debates on whether it is gaining more or not?
Yes, Russia wants to continue the war because step by step, gradually, they are expanding territories. So more longer war, more bigger territories they can get. But at the same time, Ukraine's resistance is also very strong. So that's why Russia hasn't got the territory that they expected in the past, I believe. So that's why this is a weak point of Russia. So that's why President Trump tried to exploit this situation. And European countries, yes, view from the international law or rule-based order, Russia should suffer something more bigger damage because they start a war and they violate international law. But at the same time, as a reality, how to stop Russia? One of the methods is ceasefire. Is one of the method, proper method, and the American logic is also understandable. So that's why if Ukraine get enough security assurance and enough military power, it is possible to stop Russia's invasion. In this case, Russia start to believe continuing war is not beneficial for Russia, and they will sit in the negotiation table. So that is maybe Europeans and Americans are seeking just now.
Yes, Dr. Nagao, do stay with us as we get further updates from Europe. Poland's President Karol Nawrocki has unveiled plans to limit Ukrainians' access to child benefits and childcare in Poland. He has also proposed a ban on glorification of a 20th century Ukrainian nationalist leader as a sign of hardening stance towards refugees. This reportedly amid the ongoing domestic pressure as Poland's disapprove refugees in the region. As per the reports, there are 1.5 Ukrainian citizens residing in Poland. Ukrainian refugees are currently eligible to receive the monthly family benefit of $219 per child if their children attend Polish schools. Nawrocki proposed tightening the criminal code to ban the promotion of Stepan Bandera, a Ukrainian nationalist who fought both Nazi and Soviet forces during World War II and his insurgent army. Let's hear what he had to say.
Ja swojego zdania nie zmieniam i zamierzam wykonywać swoje zobowiązania i uznaję, że 800+ powinno przynależeć tylko tym Ukraińcom, którzy podejmują się wysiłku pracy w Polsce. Podobnie z ochroną zdrowia jest też pewien, drodzy Państwo, komponent w tym projekcie ustawy, który jest zasadniczy dla nas, dla Polaków i jest bardzo ważny, aby wyeliminować rosyjską propagandę i ustawić relacje polsko-ukraińskie na rzeczywistym partnerstwie i wzajemnym szacunku, wzajemnej wrażliwości. Uznaję, że powinniśmy w tym projekcie ustawy zawrzeć jednoznaczne hasło stop banderyzmowi i w kodeksie karnym zrównać symbol banderowski z symbolami, które odpowiadają niemieckiemu narodowemu socjalizmowi, powszechnie nazywanemu nazizmem, sowieckiemu komunizmowi.
We're once again joined by Dr. Satoru Nagao. Before we focus on this, let's look at this more broadly. Europe is obviously a strong ally to Ukraine. It's of course, it shares a continent with the country. However, we've seen Ukraine becoming a far more polarizing topic in more recent times. The likes of the Polish president have been in opposition to aiding Ukrainians as much as others. You also see similarities in that of Hungarian leader Viktor Orban. What are your thoughts on that, Dr. Nagao, and why has defending Ukraine become so polarizing in Europe?
Defending Ukraine is national interest for both the Polish or other country. Hungary case is a little exceptional, but Germany, the Polish or other countries share the same interest. Indeed, this issue is a little bit different aspect. In this case, the immigration issue is a matter of concern. Because many Ukrainians came to Poland and work very well. So that's why currently the Ukrainian refugees is very important working for the Polish economy. But at the same time, for a long time, Poland is consisted by only Polish. So most of the people are Polish. In case of Germany, in case of the other European countries, they accept many immigrants. So that's why accepting the refugees and they are consisting as a part of the immigrant for worker for this country. It's a little bit situation they're familiar with. But for Poland, this is new. So even if the economic contribution, Polish people worry about the situation their country is transformed from the single ethnic country to the multi-ethnic country. So that's why in the election in the Poland, there are the tight competition between ruling party and opposition party. And in the last presidential election, the more right-wing party won, and they want to choose the policy or Polish first, looks like American first. So that's why this immigration issue is still controversial in Poland. So that's why each European country has each background. But in this case, accepting Ukrainian refugee, how to give benefit for or how to support these refugees is rely on the situation they familiar with related to the immigration issue is the answer of this issue, I think.
Yes, indeed. And of course, Poland elected a conservative president here. Can you tell us a bit more about Nawrocki and the Polish people's stance towards him, how the political attitude must be leaning in Poland in order to elect a man like him? He's newly situated in that presidential seat, posing much of a challenge to Liberal Prime Minister Donald Tusk.
Yes, simply said, supporting Ukraine itself is there is a consensus in Poland, I think. So right or left is not a matter, because Poland has a history of Russia's invasion in the past, and they worry about Russia. And in the Eastern Europe, Poland is a responsible leading country to show the influence towards the other country too. So that's why Poland tried to invite the U.S. military forces to stay, even if the U.S. want to withdraw from the full Europe. But under the President Trump, the first term, the second term, even if he want to withdraw from Europe, some forces redeploy from Germany to Poland. It has happened because Poland president tried to persuade President Trump very strongly. So that's why the interest of Poland, national interest of Poland, is indeed there is a consensus, and they have the consensus to support Ukraine. In this case, fixed, I think.
Dr. Nagal, thank you. Do stay with us. We have further updates from Europe. A Russian court is expected to announce fresh espionage charges against Laurent Vinatier, a French researcher already serving a 3-year sentence. Vinatier, working for a Swiss conflict mediation NGO, was arrested in June of 2024 for violating Russia's foreign agents law, a case condemned by France as baseless and arbitrary. The new charges could carry us up to 20 years in prison, but prosecutors have not revealed details or confirmed formal charges. The hearing will be closed to the public. Vinatier's mother expressed concern as he was moved to Lefortovo prison in Moscow, known for housing high-profile political prisoners and alleged spies. France, strongly supporting Ukraine, has repeatedly called for his release. French President Emmanuel Macron denounced Vinatier's detention as unfair and based on propaganda. Russia has increasingly used foreign agent laws to crack down on critics and its Ukraine offensive. Several Westerners, including US journalist Evan Gersovich and basketball player Brittany Griner, have faced similar detentions, with some released in prisoner swaps. France accuses Moscow of using these arrests as political hostages. We're now joined by Dr. Satoru Nagao once again to discuss this story. Dr. Nagao, what do these fresh espionage charges against Laurent Vinatier tell us about Russia's use of its, quote, foreign agent laws?
This kind of the incident proves that we are stepping into the age of Cold War. Because in the past, the US and Soviet Cold War has happened that time. Intelligence battle is very important. and hostages is exchange of hostages is indeed a common way, and many times it has happened. So that's why recently, because of the escalating intelligence war between 2 or 3 these actors, this kind of arrest, hostage exchanges, espionage is a common as a agenda in the international relations. So this is one of the example, and but it will escalate and more number we'll see, I think.
Yes, Dr. Nagal, thank you very much for joining us here on NewsX World. As always, pleasure to have you. We stay in Europe for our next story, where citizens in the Benavente in northern Spain face fear and uncertainty as wildfires ravage the region. Local authorities have evacuated elderly residents to temporary shelters as fast-moving fire fronts threaten homes and property. Zamora province, with the highest percentage of elderly residents in Spain and neighbouring Galicia, have particularly been hit hard. Fires across northern and western Spain have destroyed over 350,000 hectares and claimed 4 lives. Many older residents fear they may never rebuild or replace what is lost. Some, like residents in Vigo de Sanabria, have returned to intact homes, but many others have seen their past and memories consumed by the flames. Authorities continue to prioritise evacuations and safety as the fires slowly come under control. Director of Civil Prosecution and Protection and Emergencies, Virginia Barcones, reports that 14 wildfires remain active across the country, but she says she expects conditions to start improving at the end of next week. Let's listen to what she had to say.
En nuestro país. En estos momentos tenemos 14 incendios activos en situación operativa 2 comunicados al Centro Nacional de Alertas y Emergencias. De estos 14 incendios forestales, 10 pertenecen a la Comunidad de Castilla y León, en concreto 8 a León y 2 a Zamora, 3 a Asturias y 1 a Ourense. Por lo tanto, son 3 comunidades autónomas las que siguen teniendo incendios forestales activos en situación operativa 2. También tenemos 3...
Well, that is all that we have time for. We will continue to bring you more news updates from around the world. Thank you for joining us.
Amid war and peace, amid tariffs and talks, geostrategic upheaval in play. India, Russia and China meet in Beijing. Full coverage of the SCO summit only on NewsX World.